Mark this day as the day the United States of America officially fell from grace as the world superpower due to the ineptitude, the incompetence, and the dereliction of duty by a so-called commander-in-chief, a fumbling, idiotic, confused, lying fool, incapable of extricating innocent Americans and Afghan allies from behind enemy lines in the war zone we entered 20 years ago.
As the evacuation of Afghanistan ramps up for what could be its final 7 days, we're starting to hear from Americans who just made it out, people such as Salma Kazemi. She and her mom made it out. They are back in Colorado Springs tonight after, safe to say, an ordeal, hiding out from the Taliban, and Selma is telling her story. Selma, you and your mom had gone to Afghanistan in early August to visit family. When did you realize that the Taliban had arrived in Kabul?
So, right, the day we had landed, there was apparently a news statement that came out that the Taliban wanted everyone who was a citizen to get out of America.
We are learning there are still Americans stuck and struggling to get out of Afghanistan. Joining us now is David Fox, who runs a marketing firm in Kabul. He and his Afghan wife and son have been desperately trying to get out of that nation, but they are still there tonight. David, in a series of Facebook posts, you detailed your harrowing experience trying to leave to get to the airport, and then at the airport. Please tell us what happened.
So I have a friend in the U.S. State Department who was in touch with people who were inside the Kabul airport. And after many days of, waiting and trying to decide what to do without any notice from the U.S. government about evacuation flights, we decided on the advice of my State Department friend to make a run for the airport.
Welcome to Hannity. And breaking tonight, the State Department has now at this hour just issued a security alert telling all Americans in Afghanistan to immediately leave the gates surrounding Karzai International Airport as the situation now in Afghanistan remains dire. Thousands of Americans and our allies remain trapped behind enemy lines. The situation is deteriorating by the hour.
The Taliban, whether we like it or not, is in control, largely in control of the country, certainly in control of the city of Kabul.
I don't know why people and everybody, they are hiding. They are hiding the reality of the Taliban.
I wanted to encourage the president to stay longer, but he has to, as I say, weigh the equities of the danger versus the advantage, and I trust his judgment.
What are you telling those Americans? And maybe they're not in Kabul, but they're somewhere in Afghanistan. How will they get out?
I'm in contact with my friends, I'm in contact with my family, and every one of us, we are so worried, and we have no idea what will happen after August 31st.
We're on the cusp, Harris, of having the biggest mass hostage situation in American history. It's going to make 1979 in Tehran look like a sleepover.
What up, and welcome back to Pnoid News. Man, listen, all right, like I continue to hear more and more this nonsense of this, like it's Biden's fault what is going on. And this just, it hurts my head. Like, legitimately, it hurts my head because I'll be honest with you, all right? You cannot pin this on one. Like, why would you stand here and use like all of your power to attack a dude who legitimately is basically a vegetable to begin with, right? It's like playing an entire chess game to take a pawn out. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life, right? You have to understand that this entire ordeal is the fault of the State Department and the neoliberal order and the cathedral wing inside of the government, right? This is about the managers and the individuals who stand here and make stupid policies. And you have to understand that these people and don't know what's actually going on in their side, in the other side of the government, right? Like the right hand doesn't know what the left is doing. Like they're all completely occupied with what they're doing and not looking at what anyone else is doing. And no one who represents us, whether it be senators, congressmen, presidents, anyone that we elect, actually has any idea what's going on or it has any ability to hold these people accountable. They're basically just figureheads. Like we could elect a cat as president and we would just continue on the path in which we're going. So I want to stand here and bring this to you in a way that I think you might be able to understand. So let me put this, I'm going to put this here, and I want you to understand this from a different aspect to completely grasp what happened in Afghanistan.
Make unprincipled exceptions to their West Wing principles for the sake of stability. Across the Arab world, only the strongest and stablest regimes survive this evil wind of change. Egypt was ruled by an ancient, odiferous dictator, Mubarak. Once someone at state got the words Mubarak must go on to Barack, no relation, Obama's teleprompter, Mubarak had no choice but to go. If they'd carted President Obama off to Germany, tilted him upright and had him say Merkel must go, they probably could have started a civil war in Germany. Few or no living man has seen the limits of soft power. Egypt, like all third world countries, has a globalized smart fraction aristocracy with Egyptian passports, American diplomas, and Davos ideas. These people hang out in a little island on the Nile called Zamalek, so let's call them the Zamalekites. Fans of the Arab Spring show may remember Google Guy, the Google marketing manager who symbolized Egypt's inspiring transition to democracy, the perfect Zamalekite.
Are the same people who he's talking about, the Zamalekites. These are people who have Davos ideas, international passports, and are American educated. They're basically State Department employees. These are individuals who are not like us. All right. These are part of the managerial class of the government, and they're also part of the international wing and globalist wing of the corporate oligarchy inside of the United States. That's why the news is losing its mind at Joe Biden. It's because of the fact that he's causing harm to their people. They don't care what they do to us. They don't care what they do to the farmers. They don't care what they do to the regular people all around the world. You notice that, like, Yemen is having a civil war with ammunition that the United States sold to the Saudi Arabians, right? Like cluster bombs and things that are completely illegal by the Geneva Convention. But they don't care about that. That's not on the news, right? Because they're killing regular people. They're not killing their own. The issue is that these individuals who fell from these helicopters and the people who are trying to get out at the airport and these people who are trapped are their people. It's not the fact that they're Americans, because they really don't give a fuck about Americans. They only care about their class of people. It's important to understand that.
Fans of the Arab Spring show may remember Google Guy, the Google marketing manager who symbolized Egypt's inspiring transition to democracy, the perfect Zamalekite. Democracy? The reasoning was as follows. Democracy is the best form of government. The best government is government by the best people. And the best people are the Zamalekites. Therefore, the best government is government by the Zamalekites. Of course, these people are only 0.5% of the Egyptian population. Heck, they're only 20% of the American population. Don't worry. There are ways to solve these things. And yes, we can still call it democracy. In Egypt there are two other voting blocs, the lower middle class, who are always the support base of populist big men like Trump, Hitler or Mubarak, and the lower class, the eternal Egyptian fellahin, who support this awesome, spooky, and extremely based organization called the Muslim Brotherhood. Comparing Micah Meadowcroft's book club cadres to the Muslim Brothers is like comparing the Girl Scouts to the Hells Angels. For one thing, the Brotherhood is almost 100 years old. You can't say the brothers aren't patient. So the idea at stake was that democracy in Egypt would work as follows: the people would elect the Brotherhood. Then the Brotherhood, being ignorant religious fanatics, and having no idea how to govern a modern country such as the new dynamic Egypt, would become moderate Muslims, and turn all the actual decisions over to their big brothers Amalekites, who in turn, if they needed any advice, would find it served in generous portions by the embassy.
Now, I hope that all of y'all are paying attention, right? Because, like, I know, like, y'all have very short attention spans, you know what I'm saying? You have a really hard time actually watching videos, you know, paying attention to what's going on, right? Short of a few of you. But legitimately, this is what happened in Afghanistan. Same exact thing. They stood here and said democracy is a great thing, and we have, you know, a class of individuals who are over here from the State Department, and, you know, people who are internationalists and globalists, and, you know, they'll basically stand here and elect these people who, you know, are, you know, all crazy Muslims or whatever, and then they won't know how to run the government, and then they'll turn the government over to, you know, the State Department people. And everything will go real peachy keen for the United States, and we'll, you know, they'll basically end up being a puppet state. Well, that didn't happen, right? And what happened was they elected the Taliban, and the Taliban decided to, you know, be Taliban and run the country like Taliban. This is exactly what happened, all right? Their plans are ridiculous and retarded, and this is the end result. Understand something. These people legitimately, right, caused this themselves, and then they're upset about the fact that, you know, we left, and we left all the people there who caused this problem, which, by the way, we should. They should have to deal with the consequences of their actions. And the American people should be going like, yo, fuck y'all. You individuals caused this. It's your fault. 2,000 Americans have died in this war. We spent $2 trillion of our tax money that we all work hard for, and you took it from us by the point of a gun with no recourse, and there's nobody going to be held responsible for this. And the people who led us into these wars and continue to fund them are still in Congress. The individuals who stood here and voted for these wars, one of them is the President of the United States. And you're going to think that we should just continue to save you. That's the problem with this. And that's the real issue. And that's my problem that I have right now. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't care about the Middle East. I'm apathetic to what happens in the rest of the world. I think we should close the borders to them. Y'all don't get let in. I don't give a shit. You want to go to Europe and blow things up? That's their business for letting you in there. The world should be responsible for the world's problems. I understand we caused it, but you know what? I'm not part of that because I've been against these wars forever. I don't think they work. I think they're dumb, and I think that we cannot continue to maintain a state of constant war in the Middle East. That's my mentality. Our government and our military is not made to be police protectors for the rest of the world. That's not what a military does. It's a very basic premise. The military goes in, destroys things, and leaves. It doesn't stick around and try to, you know, set up like stupid markets for your local agriculture with the rest of the world so that you can have international shipping, because you know what? You're not capable of that. It's not what you do. We're not there to deny Chinese individuals the ability to get, you know, oil out of Iran or Pakistan or whatever they're doing. I don't care. I just don't care. Legitimately, I don't give a shit. This is the second time this has happened this century. The third time this has happened in 2 centuries, right? You know, first one was Britain back in the 1880s, then you know, the USSR back in the 1970s and 80s, and now us in the 2000s, right? Like, we should have stood here and gone, hey man, listen, you know, these are mountain people. You can't defeat mountain people. The reason why is it's really hard to fight uphill, right? And it's, unless you're going to stand here and occupy that place with, you know, millions of Americans moving there. Again, Machiavelli, go study Machiavelli. If you want to conquer and hold a land, you need to move your people there and move there yourself, right? That's some basic stuff. We've known this for thousands of years. Like, I don't know why this is a foreign concept, because it hasn't worked any time we've done this. Like, the only place that we've ever, really stood here and changed was Japan in the history of the United States. Everybody else, has fallen to shit, maybe South Korea. But the only reason that worked is because of the Japanese and South Koreans are the culture that they are, in being a technocratic, very ordered societies, right? These are not people who are backwater farmers. These were people who were already on the way to becoming industrialized or already industrialized, such as Japan, and wanted to be part of the world's, like global citizenry and things of this nature. So with that being said, this was a dumb idea. All of the Middle East was a dumb idea. The fact that the borders are what they are is a stupid thing in the first place. These people should be left there to suffer for their consequences of what they did, legitimately, right? And you go, oh, well, man, listen, nobody stood here and, told them that this would be the end result. Well, if you're that dumb that you think that you can go to a different society and a small portion be, a single individual and actually change that entire society, there's something wrong with you and your brain doesn't work and you deserve what you get. You know what I'm saying? Darwin's law, the kid who swallows too many marbles don't grow up to have kids of his own. It's just that basic premise. Yo, look, man, I'm Tom Pease of Pnoid News. Hope y'all enjoyed this. Like, share, and subscribe. Y'all know what it is. Hit that Streamlabs. Peace.